Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Eva and this is Evenings with Eva. I started this channel because I am a true crime enthusiast and I wanted to share cases that I find interesting with like-minded individuals. So if that is you and you enjoy true crime stories, please do like, comment, and subscribe because I would love to hear your thoughts on this case, and let's just get into it. Today we will be discussing the disappearance of Miya Marcano. I remember following this case in real time, seeing it mostly on social media, and I was just hoping that Miya was going to be found safe, but unfortunately that's not what happened. But before we get more into this case, let me give you a little bit more background on who Miya Marcano was. Miya was born April 26, 2002 to parents Marlon and Iman. Miya's father is a well-known DJ in Trinidad and Tobago, which is in the Caribbean. Since Miya has Caribbean heritage, she was always very entranced in that by participating in things such as the Broward County Carnival, which is a celebration that Caribbean islands have. I'll try to insert a video of something like that right now. And Miya was just described by her family as a shining light. She was goofy, she was full of love, she was family orientated. She absolutely loved her family and her family adored her. You can tell by looking at Miya's pictures that she was just an all-around beautiful person. In 2019, after Miya graduated from high school, she decided that she wanted to go to college to study sports medicine. So she decided that she was going to go to the University of Central Florida. After about a semester or two being there, she decided that she was going to transfer to Valencia College, which was still in Orlando, Florida. This takes us to September 2021, which is the time of our case. Miya was working at the apartment complex that she lived at called the Ardon Villas. As I stated earlier, Miya and her family were extremely close. That's why when she missed her flight home for the weekend, her family immediately knew something was not right. So her family kept calling and texting Miya, but they were getting no response. Growing ever worried, they decided to call the local sheriff's department and ask them to conduct a welfare check on Miya. So around 10 p.m. her family called the sheriff's department and they sent out a deputy. When the deputy arrived, he immediately realized that something was wrong as Miya's door was blocked by a dresser. He also realized that a window had been tampered with in her apartment. Police had also found a box cutter underneath a rug inside Miya's apartment. Immediately after Miya's family realized that she was missing, they drove from Fort Lauderdale to Orlando to begin searching for Miya. And thank goodness that they went out there so that they could press the police to start searching for Miya, because over the phone they were trying to make the family wait until Tuesday to report Miya as a missing person. That would have been a whole weekend and a day since she had last been seen. On the day that Miya's family arrived, this would now be September 25th, they had an altercation with a man who they were slightly familiar with from Miya telling them about him. This interaction was caught on film. I will go ahead and insert that.
But no one knows Tati.
You
keep mentioning Tati,
20
no
minutes
one
away
knows
from here,
Tati.
and you get a call
The
all of a
roommates
sudden.
don't even know Tati.
You've been sleeping since 10
keep
o'clock,
saying
and all of a
Tati is
sudden
a
you're showing
friend.
up here at 4 o'clock in the morning looking for me.
Tati were conversating about it, so I finally, it came
Okay,
up.
but
Should I
Tati
go and
is
see
someone-
if I see anything?
No one knows Tati. That's my whole thing. Not
Tati
even the
is
roommate
an
knows
employee
Tati.
here.
She's an employee, but you keep saying Tati is a friend and that you've all hung out together. No one here knows Tati. All her
Well,
other
not
friends
all
showed up. Her
these
closest
people.
friends that live in the complex were all here with us early on. No one knows Tati.
So the man that you just saw in the video is 27-year-old Armando Cabero, whose advances Miya had turned down several times in the past. He was basically accused of stalking and harassing Miya, and Miya had shared this with her family in the past. Like I said earlier, Miya was very close with her family, so she shared with them that this man was sending her text messages saying very weird and disturbing things. He would send her money via Cash App, and he was just all around stalking and harassing this girl. Armando literally came up to Miya's aunt and said, "Are you looking for Miya?" Miya's aunt, who understandably was confused, said, "Who are you?" And he replied, "I'm the maintenance man. I heard you guys were looking for me." So Armando was born February 14th, 1995, and I couldn't find any information on his background or his family. The only thing that I could find about his past is that he had previously harassed another woman at an apartment complex that he worked at, and this was after this woman too had rejected his advances. So little Armando couldn't take getting his ego bruised, and he would stalk and harass women who would reject his advances. So apparently he threw a dumbbell through this lady's window, and she called the police, and here's the body cam footage of that. Now, unfortunately, because there wasn't any video or evidence that Armando was the one who did it, the police weren't able to arrest him or charge him for this, so there was no record of him doing this. Now, back to present day in our story. Armando became the police prime suspect when data showed that he had used his universal key fob to enter Miya's apartment about 2 hours before she got into her apartment, around 2:14 p.m. that day, September 24th. This was about 3 hours before Miya would have arrived home at 5 p.m. He was also caught that same day on September 25th getting out of his car with Miya's blanket. I'll insert that clip as well.
The passenger side.
New video shows a man who appears to match a description of Armando Caballero getting out of a car that matches the description from police of Armando's.
The blanket.
Oh my God, that is my blanket.
So once Armando realized that he was the police's prime suspect, this guy went on the run. And it's really frustrating because, as you can see on the video with the altercation, Miya's family was telling the police officer right then and there that he was stalking and he was harassing her and sending her text messages and all types of things. So it doesn't make any sense why the police wouldn't arrest him. I mean, at least to hold him and see if he had any scratches or bruising, or just see if he would budge on giving the location of where Miya could be. So yeah, like I said, he was questioned by police, but he ultimately was let go, and he took a legger and he ran. So for the next 2 days, police spent time looking for Armando. They looked all over the area, but to no avail. But then about 2 days later, someone called in saying that they found a hanging body, and when police got to the scene, it was Armando. He had killed himself.
911, you need police, fire, medical?
We found a suicide on property. Someone hung themselves from a garage. They're in the garage. They're in our paint garage.
Then on Monday morning at 10:30, this 911 call came into Seminole County Dispatch from the...
So instead of facing justice for abducting Miya and taking her wherever he did, he decided to end his life like a coward. And it's just really frustrating, and Miya's family has said this, that if they would have just detained him, he would be facing what he did to Miya right now instead of taking his life. So police combed through months of Armando's cell phone data, and they had realized that on the night that Miya went missing around 8 to 9 p.m., he spent an hour in a place called Timber Scan on the lake, and his cell phone was there for about an hour. So police had started to move their search into that area. And what's crazy is that he was there for an hour, just basically an hour before Miya's family called the police to do a welfare check on her that night. So maybe if police would have started looking for her like right then and there, kind of going through his data, because her family had kept telling them this man is stalking her. So maybe if they would have originally gone through all that stuff, they could have found her sooner and maybe alive. I don't know. On the morning of October 2nd, a body believing to be the one of Mia's was found in a woodland area of Timberscan. Her body was found in an area where there weren't a lot of people, and people used it as an illegal dumping ground, and there were homes there that were condemned to be torn down. And apparently some time ago Armando had lived in that area, so he was familiar with where to put this body at. Police also found Mia's purse with her ID inside of it, and 3 days later, on October 5th, the medical examiner confirmed that it was Mia's body that was found. So the medical examiner found no evidence of sexual assault on her body, but her hands and mouth and legs were bound with duct tape, and she was only found wearing jeans, a bra, and a robe. And also, the medical examiner could never determine a cause of death. He just said that he was certain that Armando was the person that had killed Mia. Which, to me, is a little strange, because it makes me wonder, had they had found Mia earlier, would she had still been alive? Could she had succumbed to the elements, or did Armando kill her at her apartment, somehow like suffocating her or strangling her, like where there was like not that much blood, and then he just disposed of her body there? I kind of have a lot of questions about that, and it seems as though the sheriff's department is kind of evasive on things like that. So following Mia's murder, the apartment complex tried to divert responsibility, saying that they background check all employees and nothing came up in Armando's background about harassment or any of that. And yeah, they basically just tried to say that none of that was their fault and that they would increase the security around the apartment complex, but other than that, they weren't trying to do anything else, and the residents of the apartment weren't hearing any of that. They were super upset about what had happened to Mia, and they felt as though it could have been any of them. Mia's family created a foundation in her honor called the Miya Marcano Foundation, and this foundation is trying to get it to be where people who work in apartment complexes have to go stricter background checks, and also they're trying to make it so that less people have access to universal keys to get into people's apartments, which I wholeheartedly agree with. I do not believe that somebody should have access to come into your apartment while you are not there. I also feel like maybe if they're going to send in maintenance people, they should do like a buddy system, or a manager of the apartment complex always has to be there, and there has to be like a 48-hour warning or something like that. Like, I just don't feel as though people should have access to people's homes, because at that point a locked door means nothing. It means nothing. Someone can just come into your house. So the media also received criticism because Mia's disappearance happened around the same time that Gabby Petito went missing, and she did not receive the same amount of national news coverage that Gabby did. Of course, Mia is a woman of color and Gabby is a white woman, and not to take away from what happened to Gabby, but there is an astounding difference on the coverage of black women versus white women when they go missing. And I just wonder, had this been bigger news, would the sheriff's office have taken it more seriously? Would they have arrested Armando? He might have been able to face justice for what he did to Mia. So do you guys feel as though maintenance people should have access to universal keys to get into people's apartments? Because like I said earlier, I don't think so. I think that that is a problem. I have had a problem in the past with a maintenance person being very creepy and making me feel uncomfortable, and I would like to share that story with you because that was one of the reasons why this case was so fascinating to me. So in 2018-2019, I was living in an apartment complex, and this was a pretty big apartment complex, probably had about 100 plus units in it. And there was this maintenance guy that I would see. He was a black man with a shaved bald head. He looked like a black Mr. Clean to me. The first time I ever saw him, he had asked me what my name was, and I thought that he was just being friendly, like trying to introduce himself. And so I was like, oh, my name's Eva, and then I just, kept walking. And he asked me again like twice what my name was in passing when I would see him. And the third time that he did it, I was like, okay, this is super weird. Like, something about this guy is not passing the vibe check. So another thing that I would notice is that he would always pop up when I was by myself, whether it be me walking to the car garage or I would be walking my dog and be alone. This man was always there, like with his little sweeping thing or fixing something, and it's just like so weird because it was almost as if he was strategically planning when I was gonna leave my house. Like one morning I left my house and he was literally right outside of the staircase sweeping, and it was just so creepy. It was very creepy. So I didn't have the money at the time to invest in those cameras that you can put into your home to like watch your living room or whatever, but I feel as though if I did, I think that man would have been in my house a few times. Like, no lie, he was very creepy. And I have 2 dogs. They're just Cocker Spaniels. They're not gonna do anything. Just be honest, they're not gonna do anything to anybody. So I had started to figure that this was a problem, and I had told my friends and my family that if something happens to me, I really think that this maintenance man did this. And they would always tell me like, oh girl, you're just overreacting, you're just thinking too much into it. And I was like, maybe I am. I'm always watching true crime stuff, so maybe I'm always just on edge, on 10. And I really started to think that, doubt myself, like, maybe I am just overthinking this guy. So I put it in the back of my brain, on the back burner. So I'm driving in a car with my man at the time, and we passed by that guy who was outside sweeping something outside the apartment complex, and he saw me in the car with this man. Now, it made me uneasy because when we drove past, he gave a very weird look to the car, as if like he could not believe that I was with somebody else. So it was really creepy to me, and it made me feel uneasy. But then my man was walking the dog. He comes up to him and says, "How do you know that girl?" Understandably confused, he said, "What girl are you talking about?" And the maintenance guy replies, "The girl that you were in the car with." And at this point, my dude is very confused and disgusted because I had told him about this guy before, that he made me feel very uncomfortable, gave me the creeps, like all, the heebie-jeebies, all that stuff. And he was just like, "That's my girl, you weirdo," and he walked away. And when he told me that, I was just like, see, I knew it. That man had been watching me. That man was creepy. After that, I went to the office and I complained about him, and they literally just told me, "Oh, that's just his personality. He's just a very friendly guy. He wouldn't do anything to hurt you." I left that apartment complex so quick after that. I was so pissed, and I just feel as though it's unacceptable for people who are working in apartment complexes, besides the management, to have keys to come into your apartment. I just feel as though that is absolutely unacceptable. And I know for a fact that if I had those cameras, I would have seen that man inside my apartment, because there were just things in there where, you could tell when someone picked something up and put something back kind of not exactly where you left it, or you could just feel that someone's been into your place when no one should have been there but you. This case hit me totally different because I had been through that. I've experienced that, and there's no worse feeling than not feeling safe in your own home, because at that point, like I said, locked doors mean nothing when the person who wants to get to you has a universal key to your apartment. So I just want to give my love and condolences to Mia's family. I have watched the interviews with her mother and they're just absolutely heartbreaking. They are fighting for a law out there to make it so that it's harder for people to be able to have access to universal keys, and it's kind of hard to pass. They're really fighting hard to get it through the House and the legislature in the Senate in Florida, but it's really hard, and also it's Florida. So yeah, my prayers go out to Miya. This was a tragic case. My prayers go out to her family, her siblings, her dad, her mom. Just, this was heartbreaking, and yeah, that's it for today's case, guys. And I really hope that you enjoyed Evenings with Eva, and if you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to hear your comments below in the comment section, and if you have any case suggestions or anything that you'd like me to cover, please do let me know. And yeah, I'm looking forward to going on this YouTube journey with you, so I'll see you next week. Bye guys!